Hi, my name is Sheila, and this is my Cognitive Psychology 2020 video presentation midterm, where I'm going to be discussing with you 20 fun facts that I've learned from chapters 1 through 7 thus far in my semester. Cognitive Psychology. This is the study of individual level mental processes, such information processing, attention, language use, memory, perception, problem solving, decision making, and reasoning is known as cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology plays an important role in understanding the processes of memory, attention, and learning. It can also provide insights into cognitive conditions that may affect how people function. Researchers can better understand how the human brain functions by knowing how people think and absorb information. It also enables psychologists to create fresh strategies for assisting the person with psychological issues. Cognition and Neuroscience. A branch of neuroscience known as cognitive neuroscience focuses on the biological mechanisms that underlie human cognition, particularly the connection between brain activity, structure, and cognitive functions. The goal is to understand how the brain accomplishes performance because it combines the biological sciences with the behavioral sciences like psychiatry and psychology. Cognitive neuroscience is regarded as a subfield of both psychology and neuroscience. When there is a lack of behavioral data, technologies that measure brain activity, such as functional neuroimaging, can shed light on behavioral observations. One biological process that affects cognition is decision making. Attention. The capacity for attention is the capacity to select and focus on pertinent inputs. The cognitive function of attention enables us to direct our attention toward pertinent stimuli and subsequently respond to them. This cognitive capacity is crucial to daily life and plays a crucial role in it. Selective attention, ability to focus on a particular stimuli or task in the presence of additional distracting stimuli. Extra. There's a saying that what you focus on expands, and some might say that you get what you want because the universe delivers it to you through manifesting. But focusing on what you want helps you to get it because of selective attention. Selective attention does refer to the process that allows an individual to select and focus on particular input for further processing, while simultaneously suppressing irrelevant or distracting information. So, for those of you who watch my YouTube channel, you guys know that I'm all about the manifesting, and essentially, this is what you're doing when you are manifesting. You're using your selective attention, which is your ability to focus on what you want to get what it is that you do want. And so this is helping you. Memory. In contrast to long-term memory, which stores a large amount of knowledge over a lifetime, working memory is a little amount of information that may be kept in mind and used to carry out cognitive tasks. There are 3 stages of memory: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Encoding: the brain receives new information and creates a series of connections to represent that information. These connections may link to other information already stored in your memory. Storage. Those previously formed connections are maintained in your brain, even though you may not be using them. Retrieval. The brain recreates or activates the connections that represent previously encoded information, and you can recall or recognize that information from the past. Amnesia. Amnesia is a drastic form of memory loss. Amnesia is a memory deficit brought on by disease or brain damage, but it can also be momentarily brought on by the use of various sedatives and hypnotic medications. Forgetting what your spouse asked you to pick up at the grocery store is normal, but forgetting that you are married can be a sign of amnesia. Retrograde amnesia. This describes amnesia where you can't recall memories that were formed before the event that caused amnesia. It usually affects recently stored past memories and not memories from years ago. If I'm being honest, I think I suffer from this because I fell 2 years ago and I still can't remember how I fell. I have no memory of the events that happened that led up to me falling and getting injured and having a concussion. But that's neither here nor there. Just wanted to put that in there as an example. Anterograde amnesia. This describes amnesia where you can't form new memories after the event that caused the amnesia. Memory errors and gaps. Memory errors and gaps are when a specific detail or event is misremembered or completely lost from the memory system. Memory mistakes include recalling instances that never happened or recalling them in a manner that differs from how they actually occurred. These mistakes or gaps may happen for a variety of reasons, such as emotional attachment to the circumstance, expectations, and environmental changes. The amount that is forgotten and the chance that a memory error will occur both rise on the retention intervals between encoding and retrieval of the memory lengthens. Forgetting. Memory errors can arise, but other times forgetting occurs. Information that had been previously stored in short-term or long-term memory can be lost or changed through forgetting. Some forgetting is actually a failure in acquisition. One of the best predictors of true forgetting is the retention intervals, the amount of time that elapsed between initial learning and subsequent retrieval. Flashbulb memories. Flashbulb memories are memories for the circumstances in which one learned of an extremely unexpected and important emotionally stirring event for the first time. The flashbulb indicates that the event will be registered like a photograph. These are memories of usually an important event with emotional significance. Traumatic memories. After an event that results in high levels of emotional arousal and the activation of stress hormones, traumatic memories are generated. Only a few hours after the first encounter, these memories are transferred through the synthesis of proteins into consolidated, stable, and long-term memories, LTMs. Repression and recovered memories. Some authors argue that traumatic memories can be lost and then recovered. Lost memories may be due to ordinary retrieval failures, and some of the memories reported as recovered may be actually false memories. Leading questions and expectations in therapy can promote this process. If you do have repressed memories and you would like to recover them, hypnosis does do very well for you to be able to recover your repressed memories. Visual perception. Visual perception is the capacity to analyze the data that our eyes provide. What we refer to as visual perception, vision, or sight, is the end product of this information being interpreted and absorbed by the brain. The process of visual perception begins in the eyes. Photoreception. Our pupils are exposed to light, which causes the retina receptor cells to become active. Basic transmission and processing. These cells produce signals that are sent to the brain via the optic nerve. The visual cortex in the occipital lobe receives the visual data that is received by our eyes last. For example, a child in class will gain a lot from having developed visual perception because it will enable the child to take notes and comprehend the subject matter more thoroughly. Poor academic achievement may be the result of a change in or a lack of these skills. The visual system. Vision is the dominant sense in humans. More brain areas is devoted to vision than other area senses. If visual inputs conflict with other sensory inputs, then visual inputs generally dominate final perception. For example, ventriloquism, the art of throwing the voice or speaking so that it appears to be coming from somewhere other than the speaker, is known as ventriloquism. Consistency. Perceptual consistency. We perceive constant subject, properties, size, shapes, etc., even though sensory information about these attributes changes when viewing circumstances change. Brightness, consistency, size, consistency, shape, consistency. The perception of depth. We need to know the distance between to be successful at size judgments and tend to interact successfully with the surrounding world. Perception of distance depends on various distance cues. This is an example of when you're driving. The mirror always says the mirror does not accurately show how far a car actually really is. The car may be closer than what it actually appears to be. And that's what the perception of depth actually is, as an example. Binocular disparities, monocular cues, and motion. Continued. Binocular disparities is the difference between each eye's views of stimuli. Can lead to perception of depth even in the absence of other distance cues. Monocular distance cues is the depth cues that depend only one which each eye sees by itself. Lens adjustment. The brain. Our brain is literally a 3-pound brain organ. Okay, I really would like that to sit in. Our brain is literally a 3-pound organ. This is the seat of intelligence, interpreters of the senses, initiator of body movement, and controller of behavior. Let that sink in for a second. A 3-pound organ controls our entire body. A 3-pound organ. Yeah. Lying in its bony shell and washed by protective fluid, the brain is the source of all the qualities that define our humanity. The brain is literally the crown jewel of the human body. The brain is a sophisticated organ that manages every bodily function, as well as thought, memory, emotion, touch, motor skills, vision, respiration, temperature, and hunger. The central nervous system, or CNS, is made up of the spinal cord that emerges from the brain. That's a lot to do for one organ. Functions of the brain. The brain can be divided into 3 basic units: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The hindbrain includes the upper part of the spinal cord and the brainstem. The hindbrain controls the body's vital functions such as respirations and heartbeat. The uppermost part of the brainstem is the midbrain, which controls some reflex actions and is in part of the circuit involved in the control of eye movements and other voluntary movements. The forebrain is responsible for a variety of functions, including receiving and processing sensory information, thinking, perceiving, producing, and understanding language, and controlling motor function. This is a picture of the anatomy of the brain. You have the cerebellum, the occipital lobe, the pineal gland, the parietal lobe, the limbic lobe, and the frontal lobe. This is all of the important functions, parts of the brain. Neuroanatomy. Neuroanatomy is the study of the relationship between structure and function in the nervous system. 3 components form the foundation of the nervous system: neurons or nerve cells, neuroglia, extracellular constituents. Neuron processes information by sensing the environment, communicating through neurotransmitters, and originating our thoughts and memories. Neurons. The basic building blocks of the brain and nervous system are neurons, also known as neurons or nerve cells. Nerve cells are the cells that receive sensory information from the outside world, send motor commands to our muscles, and transform and relay electrical signals at each stage along the way. A neuron has 3 main parts: dendrites. Dendrites receive synaptic inputs from the axons, with the sum total of the dendrite inputs determining whether the neuron will fire an action potential. An axon, the long, thin structure in which the action potentials are generated, the transmitting part of the neuron. After initiation, action potentials travel down axons to cause release of neurotransmitters, a cell, body, or soma. This is a picture of a structure of a neuron, and this is the structure of a full picture of it. So these are the dendrites, the cell membrane, and the cell body, and this is the axons that I was talking about, and the synaptic end bulbs and the axon terminal, and the myelin sheath. So this is literally what the entire process goes through.